Hello, Scotch Test Dummies. Today we're looking at John J. Bowman, Virginia Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Virginia.
And
Bruno trying to tell jokes that I don't think are funny.
Oh, they're funny.
Test it.
Let's do it.
Test it. All right, so I talk too much, but Bruno's okay with that. However, I gave you a hard time for your joke. We got a little bit of time. I'm going to try as hard as I can to stay quiet. Tell your joke. Go ahead and tell it. Tell that joke.
All right.
And
So
pour.
Go watch.
Yeti.
You got to watch the review of the General, Compass Box the General, and you'll get the gist of why I'm telling this joke. So anyway, an older couple, let's say they're in their 70s, maybe let's put them in their 80s. They're a little bit older. They're sitting around one night at their house, and the male, he sits up, or he stands up, he says, or he's going to the kitchen. And his wife says, "Where are you going, Earl?" He said, "I'm going to go get something to drink."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Why don't you get me some ice cream while you're in there?" He says, "Okay." She goes, "Why don't you write that down?" He says, "Damn it, woman, I don't need to write that down.
Darn it.
You want some ice cream?" She goes, "Why don't you put some strawberries on it for me too? 2 scoops of ice cream with some strawberries." He says, "Okay." She goes, "You better write that down." He said, "Damn it, woman, I told you I don't need to write it down. You want 2 scoops of ice cream with some strawberries on it."
Darn it.
She says, "Now that I'm thinking about it, why don't you put some whipped cream on it too? Yeah, get me 2 scoops of ice cream with some strawberries and some whipped cream on it." She says, "You better write that down." "What did I tell you, woman? I don't need to write it down. You want 2 scoops of ice cream with some strawberries on it and whipped cream." And he goes off into the kitchen.
Good story.
30 minutes later, he comes back and hands her a plate with bacon and eggs on it. She says, "Damn it, Earl, I told you to write it down. You forgot my toast." That's it.
Now, see, I've heard this one a lot, and it makes me laugh now because this has got our own life story to it. But the first time I heard that, I'm like, God
He goes,
dang,
"That was too long."
That's a long setup for a pretty mediocre joke.
Bart, who talked to me for 15 minutes about stomach ulcers one day, was disappointed in the joke.
But that wasn't about humor.
And told me it was way too long.
The stomach ulcer deal was about the doctor that everybody thought ulcers were caused by stress. And this doctor said, he wrote a paper, said, no, it's a virus. And he was laughed at by his own peers. So he self-infected, showed that he had an ulcer, and then he cured himself. And he ended up being...
You're doing
but
it.
See, this
You're
is
doing it again.
Yeah, I know, but that's
right there. People are turned off. They just, if you quit watching
that's intriguing.
The video right there, please restart it.
If you've ever suffered from an ulcer, I have not, but my father did. They used to think it was stress related, and it's not. But I wasn't telling this to be funny. He'll compare like hey, did you know Dr. So-and-so actually learned ulcers aren't stress related? Now, I know that's not intriguing to most, and I'm a little bit nerdy. But that was a long
I actually started thinking about jujubes there. How the reds and the greens are the kings and the queens of jujube land, and the yellows and the oranges are the peasants.
Tell me that wasn't a long setup for a mediocre punchline, though. That's all I'm saying. My humor is not story, or mine is storytelling, not like one-liners or rim shot kind of jokes. But
my joke was too long.
But it has grown on me as he continues to tell it. It's like our own personal narrative now. May I have some water, sir? Because this John Bowman.
What are we looking at here?
We are looking at some bourbon, some Virginia bourbon, John Bowman bourbon. As you know, we're branching out. The Scotch Test Dummies don't just do Scotch.
We're majority Scotch drinkers.
Majority, yes. I love Scotch.
Yes. Some of the cheaper, and maybe that's because in my younger days, I always drank the cheaper bourbons, and I was always kind of turned off. They were too sweet, which Scotch generally doesn't have. today, with enough of the smaller distilleries that are popping up and people are coming up with different recipes, there's hundreds of different kinds of bourbon now. Thousands, somewhere in there. But John J. Bowman, and this is Virginia straight bourbon whiskey, single barrel, 50% alcohol, 100 proof.
And thank you to the viewer that corrected me. Bourbon is not just from Bourbon County, Kentucky. Viewers, we are Scotch Dummies. Feel free to correct us when needed.
We're not even Scotch Dummies. We're just dummies. Dummies. Anyway, I'd picked this up. Me and a buddy was in a local liquor store a few weeks ago, and we're pondering purchases. We're looking over the bourbons.
That's a good sentence. Pondering purchases.
Pondering purchases. And one of the clerks come up, and we were talking bourbons. And he said, hey, I've got this John J. Bowman. It's on sale, but it's not marked yet. It's normally, it was in the mid 40s, I think, maybe $46, $48. He says it's on sale for $29.95.
I just took a sip, and I shouldn't have.
That's fine.
I know. It's good.
So for that, and I've been buying some bourbons. The Four Roses single barrel, love it.
Yeah.
I love the Four Roses. This we have tasted.
Yeah, here one of the coolest things about bourbons, and this one in particular, it gives me kind of a creamy mouthfeel. I mean, cream may not be the word, but that's the feeling that comes to me. It's got almost a creamy taste, a creamy mouthfeel. Bourbons sometimes are too sweet for me just because of my Scotch, and I like the smoky Scotches. But this one also has, I don't know, it's like a creamy taste with a little bit of mouth punch to it, where it's got that stronger flavor. It's definitely a bourbon. What else? What do you got?
Okay, I just tried this neat, no water, and it's 50%, which the Four Roses single barrel is. The Four Roses actually made me wince a little bit when I drank it.
Yeah.
If you watch that video, you'll see me. This doesn't. It's a little bit stronger, but to me, I think I like this better than I do the Four Roses single barrel.
I would have to do a straight up battle between the two, which I would love to do sometime.
Yeah.
We do like a Four Roses against the Bowman. Yeah.
This is, I don't get, when you smell it, right away you get, there's kind of that corn acetone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like an acetone
Yes.
scent. You get it, but you also get some vanilla, I think, and some cinnamon.
Yes, definitely cinnamon.
But on the taste, to me, I don't get that corn sweetness
Right.
That I get with a lot of the bourbons.
Yeah.
It's more of a maple syrup, slight sweetness, not overpowering.
Do you get the creamy kind of, there's a creamy hint to it.
Yeah, and notice I'm still drinking this neat. I have not added any water yet. Did you add any water to yours?
I did.
This
And
is delicious.
I'm loving it. Now, here's again our philosophy, mine in particular, but I know Bruno's too. When we drink, we're not, we're literally consuming it for the particular flavor, the sensation. It's not how much can we consume. And I will tell you, the kicker for me was bourbons and American whiskeys in particular were always, back in my youth, it was, Jack and Coke or something like that. I was never drinking it for the subtleties of flavor. To this day, you and I are working on developing the subtleties of flavor and the nosing. So it's become much more of a study in the whiskey rather than just, hey, I'm knocking it back and I poured me some Coke with it.
Right. Yeah. Don't. And I've said it. I think I said it with the Four Roses. Don't pull out your red Solo cup and your Coca-Cola.
Well, that's not what this is. Yeah, not what this is about. Again, for those that want to do that, hey, more power to you. But it's funny because we've been laughing lately. Some of our coworkers will mock us on occasion because we'll have. First of all, I think the bottle art that goes on with whiskeys and scotches is an art in and of itself. The presentation is just wonderful. And we'll have...
Just pause right there real quick, because even with this, you can see the front is etched. And if you can see it, when you look through the whiskey, there's a picture on the back end of the bottle showing through.
Yeah. And again, so attention to detail. So we each had different screensavers of some of our favorite scotches. And immediately, I had one buddy of mine say, "Is that even allowed? Can you do that?" Like you would think it was like alcohol porn. And he didn't think it was allowed because, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not even, it's a picture of a bottle.
Well, and I don't know how many coworkers I've had accuse me of that my taste buds are shot because I like scotch.
Yeah. And we're hoping we're inviting to you the idea that, as my mom said, as Bart's mom said, scotch or bourbons will slow you down. I've spent, and I know Bruno spent 20 minutes nosing a glass while you're watching a nice show before you even take the first sip.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying.
Well, your mom said she tended to rush through things and try to get through things, and the scotch that she tasted, she would make her slow down.
Just slow down and enjoy it. I'm telling you, you got a fire cracking. There's a storm blowing outside. You pour yourself one of these, a bourbon, a scotch, and you just sit back and you nose it and you sip on it, maybe 2 fingers, and you sip on it for a half hour. Mm-hmm. It's just nirvana.
Now, real quick, I didn't say I was going to talk about this John J. Bowman single barrel is triple distilled. I have learned that John J. Bowman actually only does 2 of the distilling. The first distilling happens at the Buffalo Trace Distillery.
That's right.
And then they send it to John J. Bowman. They do the next 2 distillings, and
so they're kind of doing a finishing.
Bottle it. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's our belief. So not only the beauty of the bottle, but the time of consumption is all part of the package.
Delicious.
Yeah. Scotch Test Dummies. And if you like this joke, let him know. If you thought it took too long on the setup, please let him know. But hey, that's us. We are what we are. Scotch Test Dummies.
Follow us on Twitter.
Please.
Like us on, or wait, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Please. More subscriptions, the better. We need it.
And like us on Facebook.
And comment. We'd love to talk to you guys.
Scotch Test Dummies.
All right. Sláinte.
Sláinte, dummies.
Chewbacca.